Music Monday, we're here. Happy Music Monday. I hope everybody is having a good week so far. It's just started. Let's see what's what here. Lucy is asleep on the couch. That's how she's rolling. What's up, Karen? What's up, Anna? Good to see everybody. Good morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Monday snuck up on me. What's up, R-Dub? What's up, M. Berg? Good to see everybody. What's up, Glass Third Eye? Thank you for the compliment on the shirt. What's up? Greetings from Croatia. Very cool. The cat is on the couch. Mutton lamb. What's up, Elizabeth? What's up, Z? What's up, Dan? What's up, Shannon? What's up, Dominic? What's up, Chris? Howdy, howdy. You're getting paid to Reddit all week. That's awesome. Where's Lucy? Lucy's on the couch. Hey, Ron from Ottawa, going biking. That's awesome, Paul Saul. Ember gives a shout out to Grumpy Cat. Rest in power, Grumpy Cat. Lucy made a statement regarding Grumpy Cat, who sadly passed away. I believe on Friday, Grumpy Cat passed away. Hey, Ron, good to see you and Pasta again. Thank you very much, Edwin. It was good to be on with Pasta again. Hopefully, we'll be making that a regular thing. Will Ron check out Streamlabs today? Tune in and find out. Balthazar, probably not. I know I need to. I'm getting on it. We're almost at 30. And by the way, I have an artist of the day today instead of a just song of the day today. I have more of an artist. What's up, Alfonso? And I hope you guys are excited about some concerts this summer. In fact, that'll be our brief topic. We'll talk about concerts. Then we're going to get into some news today, which we got a lot to get to, and we're not going to get to everything. We are over 30. Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. What does that mean? That means you guys send me ideas, and that's how we build the show. You tweet me articles at Ron Placone. You drop articles in our Reddit subsection, and that's how we build the news show. We're discovering the news together. Just a group of people figuring out what's going on in this crazy world of ours. We got a lot to talk about today. It is Music Monday, so let's do the song of the day, or in this case, the artist of the day. So we have a lot of environmental type news today. There's a lot of environmental stuff going on. So my artist of today is an artist out of Western Pennsylvania named Broke Boland. I first heard of Broke Boland when I was living in Pittsburgh. So this was a while ago. This is probably about, almost a decade ago now. But I saw them. I was at this music show, and I saw them, and they did a song about fracking. It was an anti-fracking song, and it was a really cool, folk, punky, anti-fracking song, and I've followed Broke Boland ever since. So, because he's an artist that's been around for a long time, I thought it'd be better to do an artist of the day because it might be an artist you're not familiar with. So I encourage you to look into that. It's Broke Boland, Boland, Broke Boland. So just go ahead and type that into YouTube. He's got a lot of tracks up, or you can type it into Spotify. He's got a lot of albums out. Check it out. So Broke Boland, in honor of environmental news, that's our artist of today. Do I think America will go to war with Iran? They're certainly trying. I hope not. But that's certainly in the cards for the military-industrial complex. So is anyone excited about any concerts this summer? I got to be honest with you guys. I got Cure tickets on Friday, and it's one of those things. You know how sometimes sometimes you wonder if you'll ever recreate that experience of when you're a little kid and you're so stoked about waking up like Christmas morning or on the morning of your birthday or something like that. You always wonder if you'll ever recreate that. And I found out that, yes, I was able to recreate that on Friday when I was waiting patiently at my computer to get Cure tickets as soon as they went on sale. I had a place in line, and I got Cure tickets as soon as they went on sale. They went on sale at noon. By noon 03, I had gotten my tickets, and The Cure is playing right in my neighborhood in Pasadena. It's a Pasadena Daydream Festival is what it's called. It's just one day. But who's all playing? The Cure, the Pixies, Throwing Music. Wow, I can't talk. Throwing Muses, the Deftones, and then there's a bunch of others too. But those are the main ones that I know. I'm really stoked to see Throwing Muses. I've never seen them before. Pixies I've seen before. They're always a fantastic show. And then, of course, The Cure is headlining. Deftones, I'm excited. I'm not a huge Deftones guy. I appreciate them. I really do. But I'm not a huge Deftones guy. But nonetheless, I'm excited I'll get to see them. So I'm so stoked for that concert. 3 minutes. And I got them. And I was texting back and forth with a bunch of friends. I was like, did you guys get them? 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 And we did get them. Brian gives a shout out to Throwing Muses as well, which is awesome. Shout out to Throwing Muses. They're a fantastic band. All right. That's awesome. So good morning, everybody. Does anyone have any tickets? Oh, Glass Third Eye is stoked to see Tool, Mastodon, Coheed. That's quite a list. That is quite a list. I know Coheed and Cambria always rocks it live. I'm not like the biggest Coheed fan in the world. Like I like some of their older stuff. I kind of got, I kind of stopped following them a little bit, but I know they're pretty awesome. Chris Wynn, concerts are too loud for me. Earplugs, bro. Just earplug it up. That's all. Sometimes I need to start wearing earplugs to concerts. I don't. I need to start. I should. Yeah, I need to. It's pretty rough. Yeah. I saw Tool on Thursday. It was incredible, says B-Dub. I've never seen Tool live, but I have been to that guy's wine shop. Yeah, or no. I was at a wine shop, and some of his wine was in it. The dude from Tool, he lives in Sedona, Arizona, where he pretty much just runs a bunch of businesses in town. And I was hiking out in Sedona, and I got a little, whatchamacallit. I got some of his wine. It's pretty good. Slayer, Angela's going to see Slayer and Pup. I'm not familiar, but I am familiar with Slayer. Karen says, please remember to hit that like button. I like Karen's suggestion. Please do that. All right. So Edwin, you just saw Bleach. That's awesome. Oh, wait, no, they're coming. Bleach just going to play the Lodge Room in Highland Park. I got to get tickets for that. Oh, I totally got to get tickets for that. Bleach just playing the Lodge Room in Highland Park. That's a really cool venue. Yeah, thanks for the heads up on that, Edwin. I need to go. I like Bleached a lot. They're great. You've probably seen me wearing their t-shirt on this show and on other shows. I wear my Bleach t-shirt a lot. Skinny Puppy. Nice. Emberg, the Progressive Comedy Tour, is my concert right now. Love it. I need to know if Ron considers Panic at the Disco basic. I'm not a Panic at the Disco fan. I don't know what I would consider them. I'm just not. I know a lot of people like them. They do some kind of out-of-the-box, innovative stuff. Musically, just not my cup of tea. But I don't know what you would call them or not call them. But, musically, not my cup of tea. But I respect them for what they do. A lot of people like them. Martin A., howdy. Yeah. What about Bring Me the Horizon? Not familiar. I'm not familiar with Bring Me the Horizon. So, yeah. Send me some music. You guys can always send me music for songs of the day or artists of the day. You know what? If it's someone who has, like, a bigger body of work, but maybe they're not, like a huge staple name yet, you know what I mean? Then we can do, like, an artist of the day. But if there's like a specific song for a specific reason, song of the day, either one's good. Today was Artist of the Day, Broke Bolin. I recommend you guys check him out. But yeah, send me some music. RonPlagone.com to send me that music. Yeah, have I heard Jill Stein's music? No, I have not. I know she played folk at one point. I've not heard about it. Or I've not heard the music. Yeah, London Grammar. Is that a band? Or did I accidentally fall into London Grammar? Maybe I fell into it, or maybe that's a band. If it's not a band, it should be. That's a cool name for a band, London Grammar. Especially if they were from, like, Alabama or something. You know what I mean? Oh, they are a band. All right, well, they have a good name. I know that. Never heard them, but they are, in fact, a band. All right, so send me some music, ronplacone.com. Let's get into some news of the day, because we got some fun stuff to talk about. Oh, and we have a guest coming up at 11:30. So I'm going to sign off, and then we have a guest coming up at 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 Eastern time, to differentiate the time zones here. Krish Moen, who is a comedian, and he has a new special coming out. Very funny guy, tours a lot with Lee Camp, and I've been friends with him for a decade. I've known him forever. He's going to come on, talk about his new special. So that's happening at 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 Eastern time. Boom. All right. Let's go to some stuff. Hey, remember when they got, all the car companies got that big bailout, then they got that big tax cut, and they got all these things because that's supposed to create jobs. You know, the big bailout was supposed to help all the car companies and Wall Street. And those tax cuts from Trump, they were supposed to help create jobs, right? It was going to trickle down. That's never failed before. It was going to create jobs, right? Well, let's see. Is it doing that? Gee, I don't know. Boom, doesn't sound like it. Ford to cut 7,000 jobs by August, including 900 this week. What about that tax cut they got? They got a huge tax cut. Their CEO made $18 million last year. $18 million. That's what Ford's CEO made. Yet that's what they're doing. Ford is laying off about 10% of its global salaried workforce, the company said on Monday. The jobs cuts are part of the company's restructuring effort and is expected to save the number 2 automaker $600 million annually. Well, that's good. Now the CEO can get a raise. Maybe it's going to be $25 million next year. It was just $18 million this year. They're struggling. They're struggling to get by on $18 million. So they get these huge tax breaks. They get millions in salaries to the top folks at the company. Why do they need to save all this money? Why do they need to make all these cuts? Well, let's continue. More of the reductions are overseas, with roughly 2,300 of the jobs coming from the United States. Ford Motor said Monday that it is laying off about 7,000 managers and other salaried employees, about 10% of its white-collar workforce across the globe, as part of the restructuring plan to save the number 2 automakers $600 million annually. The cuts, some of which were previously announced by Ford, will be completed by August, Ford CEO Jim Hackett said in an email to employees Monday. Most of the reductions are overseas, and roughly 2,300 of these jobs cuts are coming from the United States. This round of layoffs won't impact Ford's hourly factory workers. The company had roughly 199,000 employees across the world at the end of last year, about 3,000 less than the previous year. So they're still steadily cutting those jobs, but this particular cut won't pertain to them. That's what they're saying. Like, oh, we continue to diminish those jobs too, but these particular cuts, these are managerial cuts. So so no worries for right now, factory workers. But I mean, we're still cutting you. Like, we're still slowly cutting you. We're down 3,000 from last year. So it's not like cuts aren't happening. Just these particular ones. Awesome, Ford. Awesome. It's great we gave them this big bailout and all these tax cuts. It's really benefiting working people. It's really working out for working people. There are no flaws in this strategy. None whatsoever. All right. The company had previously announced it planned to cut its European workforce. Okay, so there's their notice to employees. All right. So there we go. All you ever hear from companies like this is about cuts and layoffs. Meanwhile, we keep giving them more money. It's like that Paul Ryan meme. Like, so we gave, if you ever seen, there's this Paul Ryan meme that's out there where it's just a picture of his stupid face. And it just says, so we gave these corporations more money and it didn't work. so we need to give them more money. And he has like a straight, confused, natural, that's his natural look. His natural look is that he's just confused and out there. He's not confused. He knows exactly what he's doing. But confused is the only way he can try to sell his bullshit. So that's a famous Paul Ryan meme. Not that Paul Ryan is, involved in this particular, for instance, but, that's the type of bullshit people like him parrot. All these tax breaks via Trump, the bailout via Obama, all this stuff, and still cutting jobs left and right. And Republicans will still try to sell this in the future. They'll say, hey, it's good for jobs. We got to give tax breaks. We got to give tax breaks for jobs. Yeah. Trickle down. The only time trickle down works is when you're screwing people over. That's the only time trickle down actually applies. When you screw over the people, when you screw over people who have paid their dues, so to speak, and have worked their way up the ladder, when you start screwing them over and start screwing them out of money, start screwing them out of benefits, you screw over the people all the way down to the bottom as well. When you start, if a company, like if Subway starts screwing over their shift managers, they're going to screw over their part-time entry-level hourlies as well. That's when trickle-down actually applies, when it comes to how hard you're going to screw people over. Screw over the working class. That's the only time that theory makes any sense whatsoever. When it comes to giving more wealth to people, it has never worked. Ever. It has never, ever worked. It's a parody of itself. But it did what it was supposed to, which was sell a lie to people. It was never supposed to actually help the working class. It was just supposed to sell a lie to people so that we can allow the corporatocracy to run this place and to not pay their fair share at all. To pay nothing, basically. That's what it was designed for. All right. Good job, Ford. Way to go. Way to go. So speaking of things that are annoying, Joe Biden... And speaking of a bunch of lies and misdeceptions, another way that our government lies to us is when they blame social programs for all of our financial woes. Instead of looking at the military, I mentioned the wheel that I saw when I was in Scotland, and it was this wheel that they had where it said how much they spend on everything, and there was this chunk for health and services, there was this chunk for the arts, there was this chunk for infrastructure, and then there was a chunk for military, and then there was a chunk for education. If the United States has a wheel like that, we don't have one, because if we did, it would just be war and then a little sliver for everything else. That's all we would have. But politicians want to make you think that Social Security is the problem, that Medicare is the problem. Who's one of those politicians? Joe Biden. Joe Biden once boasted about wanting to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and veterans' benefits. This is from Paste. So Joe Biden is the only 2020 Democrat to have supported the Balanced Budget Amendment. In a floor speech from January 1995, a younger but still corporatist, Biden chided liberals in his own party over their reluctance to cut federal spending on programs like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and veterans' benefits. Today, Biden is a presumed frontrunner in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, outpolling his opponents among voters over the age of 50. Some election watchers have speculated that the former vice president's 36-year record as a conservative senator, at least they're calling him what he is, a conservative senator. Good job, Paste. Good job, Paste. They're finally calling him what he is, a conservative senator. So this is Paste Magazine. Paste Magazine correctly identifying Joe Biden as a conservative senator. So when people try, Joe Biden's centrist, he's moderate, he's blah, blah, blah. No, he is a conservative. He has ruled as a conservative for years and years. Paste Magazine even says so. All right. So this could disqualify him in the eyes of voters from the party's growing left wing and even harm his chances in a general election, similar to how former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was dogged by her past. You run another blank suit, corporatist against Trump, Trump's going to win again. You run another Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump. Trump's going to win again. That's why all these people that's like, the blue, no matter who, well, you got to, if Biden's the person, you got to, look, if Biden's the guy, he's going to lose. Biden will lose. Anyway, let's get back to this specific topic. But in the flurry of headlines, I mean, look, all this other horrible shit he's done. Here's what the article's about. All of this horrible stuff he's done. And look, they just list a couple here. Biden's ill-conceived crusade against school integration busing in the 1970s. His handling of Anita Hill's testimony. The 1994 crime bill, which he wrote. And his closeness with the financial services industry. I'll add a couple onto that. The Patriot Act. The Iraq War. He was against gay marriage until he pretty much had to change with public opinion. He was against gay marriage until then. He's against net neutrality. I mean, this just, the article summarizes some, I summarize some more. There's plenty more. Those are just off the top of my head. There's plenty more. But what they're saying is going under the radar is this particular, for instance, because he's done all this other horrible shit. So in a flurry of headlines, Biden's support and vote for the 1995 Balanced Budget Amendment has gone largely unnoticed, despite the fact that it put him squarely at odds with the majority of his Democratic colleagues at the time. H.J. Res 1, the official designation for the Balanced Budget Amendment, was the central part of the GOP's contract with America. And this was their promise to eliminate the deficit. So Bernie Sanders warned against this. Here's what he warned. It will mean, in my view, and this was from 1995, it will mean, in my view, the destruction of the Social Security system as we know it. It will mean savage cuts in Medicare and Medicaid, in the opportunity of young people to get grants and loans to go to college. It will mean major cutbacks in nutrition programs for hungry children. It will tamper with the unemployment compensation program. It will be a disaster for the vast majority of people in this country. And Biden supported it. Biden, on the other hand, dismissed those concerns, arguing that there was no way of predicting the impacts of the amendment and claiming both sides were blowing the amendment out of proportion. And who did he go against? Most of the other Democrats. I think the article told us there was only... Yeah. So here we go. The senator, which is Biden, was one of just 14 Democrats to back the measure when it reached the Senate. So a lot of Democrats were against it. Biden was for it. And it was the balancing budget, that we're going to cut social programs to, quote, balance the budget. Republicans, they really care about balancing the budget when it's time to cut social programs, when they want to cut social programs. They don't care about balancing the budget during times of war. They don't care about balancing the budget, especially when Republicans have the White House in particular. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. And Joe Biden going right along with it. Most Democrats were against it. And what do the Democrats want to do today? They want to do pay-go, where we only do any type of progressive policy if it's already in the budget. So this is Joe Biden. This is another thing that Joe Biden supported that puts him right in bed with the Republicans. And again, Pace Magazine summed it up. Conservative senator. 36-year history. That's a great Joe Biden quote. Let me find that particular quote again, because I think that's really a great summary. 36-year record as a conservative senator. 36-year record as a conservative senator. When Joe Biden boasts about his experience, what experience is he referring to? According to Pace Magazine, a 36-year history as a conservative senator. They don't even say moderate. Which, by the way, moderate in the United States is conservative or even far right everywhere else in the world. Everywhere else in the industrialized world. Moderate by our standards is conservative everywhere else. That's why, like, we did a video on that a while ago. We did a video on how, moderates are just conservatives. And people were like, am I not allowed to be in the middle on issues? Like, no, you're allowed to think however you want. You're allowed to think however you want. That's your choice. But we're just saying, know that you're a conservative. Like, you're not, like, if you're a moderate by United States standards, you're a conservative everywhere else. A far conservative, actually. And they don't even say moderate here in Pace Magazine. They don't even say moderate. They say conservative, which would be considered fringe right-wing everywhere else in the industrialized world. That would be like fringe right-wing. And that's Joe Biden. That's Joe Biden. That's the resistance. Yeah, we don't have any problems here. Okay, so here's a little bit of news here. A little bit of diet news that I thought was kind of interesting. Someone tweeted this at me. So those Impossible Burgers that everyone's getting real excited about, I think Burger King's selling them. I don't know if I've had a Beyond Burger, and they're good. I don't think I've ever had an Impossible Burger, and according to this new study, that's a good thing. GMO Impossible Burger positive for carcinogenic glyphosate. And this is from Moms Across America. This is a press release from them. So 2 days ago, a Monsanto trial jury awarded the plaintiffs over $2 billion for the connection between the glyphosate-based herbicide Roundup and their cancer. Today, Moms Across America announces that the Impossible Burger tested positive for glyphosate. The levels of glyphosate detected in the Impossible Burger by Health Research Institute laboratories were 11 times higher than the Beyond Meat Burger. The total result was 11.3 ppb. Moms Across America also tested the Beyond Meat Burger. The results were 1 ppb. So that's a big difference. We were shocked to find that the Impossible Burger can have up to 11 times higher levels of glyphosate residues than the Beyond Meat Burger. This new product is being marketed as a solution for healthy eating, when in fact 11 ppb of glyphosate can be extremely dangerous. Yeah, that's a lot. Only 0.1 ppb of glyphosate has been shown to alter the gene function of over 4,000 genes in the livers, kidneys, and cause severe organ damage in rats. I am gravely concerned that consumers are being misled to believe the Impossible Burger is healthy. The Impossible Burger is a new genetically modified plant-based product that was prominently featured at the Natural Products Expo West. Burger King, White Castle, Hard Rock Cafe, Red Robin, Cheesecake Factory, and hundreds of other restaurants now carry the product, where it does not have to be labeled or described as genetically modified on the menu. The Impossible Burger is made of GMO soy, which has been shown to cause organ damage in animal studies and has been shown to be significantly different from non-GMO soy. The GM ingredients of the Impossible Burger, which includes a genetically modified yeast and GM soy proteins, 46 of which are undisclosed and untested, are even more concerning to many consumers than the long-term health effects from glyphosate because of the reported immediate allergic reaction potential. So there's a lot of stuff that they're not even disclosing. That's something that energy drinks do, by the way. If you ever look at an energy drink, there's a bunch of things that they don't actually disclose what it is. There's like these symbols, and it's just like energy blend or something like that. You don't know exactly what's in it. That's why I used to drink those things a lot, and then I stopped. I was also getting a ton of indigestion, and I was really overweight, and I stopped. I still occasionally have one, and I know it's a vice. I know it's bad for me, but occasionally when I'm on the road and I'm really tired, a Red Bull does me. Those things are terrible. I know. Those things are terrible. Smoking cigarettes is also terrible. I don't smoke cigarettes. I'm just saying we all have our vices, and for me, energy drinks are definitely one. I consider it my cigarette. You know what I mean? Like some people, every now and again, just unwind. They like to have a cigarette. They know it's bad. They're not a regular smoker, but it's like every now and again, I have a cigarette. I know it's bad. Red Bull, that's my cigarette. Like, I'm just like, I know it's bad, but I drink one. But, so, Impossible Burgers. It might be, in fact, impossible that it's healthy for you. So this is an interesting report, and we'll continue to look more into this and continue to monitor it. But that is a disturbing study. They have a link to the study. You can check it out. And I don't know if I've ever had an Impossible Burger. I know that the big thing people get excited about with the Impossible Burgers is they talk about how because of the beet juice, it's like actual juice from a regular burger. They're like, it's like blood. And that was right away weird to me because I don't know about you guys, but when I would eat even regular burgers, I never was like, oh, check out that blood. Yeah. This used to be alive. Like, that was never like my response. Like, I never just cared about that. Like, I just cared what it tasted like. I mean, I don't know. Am I weird? Was everyone's like, no, I need to see a lot of juice, and I need to know, like, that might be blood, and I need to, like, is that a thing? People, they're like, it looks like just a regular burger, it bleeds and stuff. Like, I hear people getting all excited about that. And I'm just like, is that a reason to get excited? I don't care. I just care what it tastes like. I don't even care what it looks like. Like my favorite way to have a burger is like a red quinoa burger. I love those. And those do not look like regular burgers because it's red quinoa. And you have that with some hummus. It's delicious. And also, as far as I know, they don't have a ton of herbicides in it. As far as I know. So, Impossible Burger. Maybe too good to be true. And honestly, it's better to not patronize a lot of those places listed anyway. Why do you want to go to White Castle? Why would you want to go to Burger King? Why do you want to go to Red Robin? Cheesecake Factory, all those places, they're kind of gross. And so there you go. All right, the Impossible Burger may have a lot of not so good stuff in them after all. All right, but here's some good environmental news. We're gonna balance this with some good environmental news. There's a certain pesticide that is being banned in California that was banned in Hawaii a little bit ago. The EPA won't ban it, but this is an example of people taking the power in their states. All right, so here's what's going on. This is from the Sierra Club. California just banned chlorpyrifos. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it. Why won't the EPA? All right. So on May 8th, California Governor Gavin Newsom's administration announced plans to ban this pesticide, after an independent panel concluded that the pesticide is damaging to human health. The chemical belongs to a class of neurotoxins called organophosphates and was banned for indoor pest control in 2001. But 6 million pounds of it are applied annually to a wide range of crops, including oranges, alfalfa, almonds, and grapes. Another thing that was uncovered is the company Cutie. The company Cutie, they make the little orange, like tangerine orange things. I think they make tangerines and like just kind of small oranges. They were using fracking fluids to water their crops. They were using recycled fracking water, rather, to water their crops. All right, but back to this. So a bunch of this is being applied to oranges, alfalfa, almonds, and grapes. And it takes a ton of water for almonds. That's another problem. It takes a ton of water for almonds. But anyway, okay, that it causes neurological damage in humans is hardly news. Studies over the past decade by Columbia University, the University of California at Davis, and UC Berkeley have all found that children whose mothers were exposed to the chemical while pregnant suffer negative effects such as increased rates of autism and attention deficit disorder, as well as lower IQs. In 2015, after its own multi-year review, the EPA also concluded that chlorpyrifos was harmful to human health and recommended that the agency ban it permanently. Then in March 2017, the newly appointed EPA Minister Scott Pruitt reversed the decision, claiming that the science was inconclusive. Well, who are you going to believe? A bunch of peer-reviewed science? Or Scott Pruitt, who was in bed with a bunch of climate deniers, locks himself in a padded room to count his money. He has a padded room that he locks himself in to make decisions. That was a government expense, by the way. That was your tax dollars at work. He wanted this special padded room. You gonna trust that guy, Scott Pruitt, or are you gonna trust a bunch of peer-reviewed science? This pesticide is not good. All right. Environmentalists and community groups sued, and in August, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that there was no justification for the EPA's decision, and ordered the agency to reinstate the ban within 60 days. The EPA responded by asking the court to reconsider, and in February, the Ninth Circuit granted the agency request for a rehearing. Last month, the court gave the EPA 90 days to respond to objections over its continued approval and ordered its complete review of comments. In the meantime, California's decision could have broad reverberations. It's the second state to ban the chemical. Hawaii instituted the ban a year ago. But with its enormous output, California is an agricultural juggernaut. The state grows a third of the country's vegetables and two-thirds of its fruits and nuts. The ban has national and international implications. This is according to Mendha Chandra, a policy advocate at Pesticide Action Network. There is so much momentum in New York, Connecticut, and Oregon because of this California announcement. And environmental activists in Europe have taken note too. So basically, this pesticide is terrible. We should not be using it. Even the EPA decided that. Then Scott Pruitt came in and he said, oh, we're reversing this. The court said, no, you can't reverse it. They challenged that in court. So now the court's getting, you have to respond to these. So now, right, basically, they're having the tug of war in court. So right now, it's still just kind of in limbo. So the states are acting on their own and they're saying, we're banning this shit. You guys are in limbo. You're saying this ban's reversed. We're not tolerating it. We're banning this in our state. And California said we're banning it. So that is good news. It is good news that California is banning this pesticide. It is good news that Hawaii did something last year. And it's good news that other states are taking notes and are trying to do similar things. Because this is one of those things, like we have to start working on things in our backyard when the federal government is letting us down, which is happening, which has been happening for a long, long time. You know, there's something to be said for community involvement. Now, of course, this is at the state level, but, you know, you rally in your communities. You rally alongside your farmers. You rally alongside small farms. And you can get stuff like this done at the local and state level. So, you know, that's one thing that we do have to be optimistic about is the power in our communities, the power in our neighborhoods. And I know a lot of you are working on different things to try to make your community better. You know, I'm trying to get municipal broadband in my neighborhood. I'm still working on that. I may have some big news on that soon, actually. So hold tight there. But yeah, so good job, California. I don't get to say that too often, actually. Not when it comes to politics, anyway. But in this case, good job, California. Glad to say it. All right. So this is going to be our last article today, and then we're going to talk about this. And more, I want to use this as a conversation piece more than anything else. So this is about Ron Howard, the actor / film director. Ron Howard is going to shoot Hillbilly Elegy in Georgia, but vows that he'll do the boycott if the abortion bill goes into effect. So Ron Howard has a big problem with Georgia's new abortion restriction, but not with people of the Peach State. The Oscar winner is the latest prominent filmmaker who will move forward with production in Georgia, but make a donation towards the fight against a restrictive abortion bill recently signed by Governor Brian Kemp. Howard and his Imagine Entertainment co-founder, Brian Grazer, confirmed the film Hillbilly Elegy will shoot in Georgia next month after much thought and deliberation. They vowed they won't consider production there if the law, known as the Heartbeat Bill, goes into effect at the start of 2020. We felt we could not abandon the hundreds of women and men whose means of support depend on this production, included those who directly contribute to this film, and the businesses in the community that sustain the production. So keep in mind, Georgia, the film industry is very big in Georgia because they made a bunch of tax cuts, or they gave a bunch of tax incentives for Hollywood to film there. So there's a ton of film. I believe Walking Dead is done in Georgia. So there's because I mean, first of all, Georgia has a very desirable land. Like it has, you know, just a lot of, I mean, it has coastlines. It has like different terrains that can pass for a lot of different places. So Georgia is a desirable place to film, and the state wanted to really tap into this. They give a lot of tax incentives. So filming is a big part of Georgia's economy, especially in Atlanta, where you do have a lot of show business going on in Atlanta. Cartoon Network has a presence there. CNN has a presence there. That's going on in Atlanta. So filming is a big part of Georgia's economy. here you have Ron Howard who's saying, look, if this goes into effect, we will ban. As of right now, we're not going to pull the plug on what we've already got in motion because we don't want to screw over all the people whose livelihoods depend on this project going forward. And that's a tough line to toe. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this up as a conversation point, I know a lot of artists, like musicians, comedians, stuff like that, are talking about what's going on in Georgia, what's going on in Alabama. And something that always comes up in stuff like this is, do we ban, do we boycott performing there? And I know some colleagues of mine that have said yes, they're not going to perform in Georgia and Alabama, if these laws go forward. I do not participate in those things. I do not participate in boycotts of states as a performer. And here's why I don't. I don't because I know that I am not an economic impact on a community. I'm not famous. I'm not some huge draw. I'm very much a niche thing. I'm not going to have an economic impact on a community if I boycott a place. So I actually don't, just for the record, I happen to not have any dates scheduled in Georgia or Alabama right now. Just because, that's the region. We had already done that region. It's not coming up for a little while now. But if I did, I would not cancel those dates. And moving forward with my tour itinerary, the next time, that I play the Southeast or that Graham Elwood and I play the Southeast, I would not boycott those states. So I don't have any dates there right now, but if I did, you get the idea. And the reason I don't participate in those is because, again, I'm not an economic impact. I'm just not. So me boycotting those states and the people who would want to see me are most likely people who are being hurt by this. Most likely people who fought against this. So to me, if I were to participate in that boycott, I wouldn't be doing anything to the powerful people that made this happen. It's not like they would be like, we're going to review our annual budget and we really got to talk about Ron Placone canceled a show. That was a hit. Maybe we got to rethink this abortion thing. We can't have Ron Placone canceling shows every year. Holy fuck. That's not going to happen. What is going to happen is that people who live in those places, and maybe, just maybe, going to my show would be one night where they can kind of forget what they're surrounded by, and they can kind of laugh in a room full of like-minded people, and they can laugh at left-wing comedy, and kind of just forget for one night and meet some like-minded people in their communities that maybe they're going to become friends with. So if I can kind of give that one night to people, that's one thing I can do to help. So if I were to say, well, I'm not going to come now because of this horrible law, I don't see that as me, doing anything to the powerful. I'm not harming the powerful there in any way whatsoever. All I'm doing is saying to the people who would want to see me, I could give you a night to make you feel less alone, but I'm not going to. So that's the way I see it. I know some people disagree with that. Some artists don't see it that way. They see it more as strictly a principle thing. But I don't look at it that way. And the reason I don't look at it that way is because I know what it's like to live in a red state where you are trying so hard to hold the lines on things like women's rights, on things like, just basic human rights and liberties, and how hard it can be because of, the grip that the GOP and the far right has on your state. I know what that feels like. I used to live in Tennessee. I know what that's like. So to me, it's like, I don't want to punish the people who are there, who want to have things better in their state and who are going to suffer because of this. So that's the way I look at it. So bringing it back to this, when you are a big film production that does have economic impact on a place, well, you have a harder judgment call. Ron Howard has a much harder judgment call than Ron Placone. For me, it's just like, I'm not an economic impact. Why would I punish the people who, might want to just enjoy a night of comedy. Those are the people I want to meet. Those are the people I want to show up for. So, but for Ron Howard, this has an impact. If a huge production doesn't come to the state, that has an impact on the state. Now, the tough judgment call they have, if we already have wheels in motion and we have people who are on set whose livelihoods depend on this, do we want to punish them? Because they're going to hurt from this too. And I think, just kind of looking at this, it looks like Ron Howard, I think, made a pretty good call. He's like, okay, look, we're not going to punish the people. We already have these wheels in motion. We're not going to punish everybody by pulling the plug. But in the future, we ain't coming. And if somebody maybe has a film project where they're considering a couple different locations, nothing has been solidified yet, and they say, hey, Georgia, we decided not to pick you, and the reason we decided not to pick you is because of this law. So you're hurting your state. That's a different course of action. Because that you're actually getting in the face of the powerful there, because you're doing something that's hurting the state's economy. So you're saying, look, if you're going to do this, so that has some potential to actually affect the lawmaker's decision. A Ron Howard production does. A Ron Placone show does not. So anyway, I thought that'd be a fun conversation topic. Let me see what you guys are saying about it. Maybe some of you disagree with me, which is fine. Let me know if you do. The boycott has to be tourism, says Doug. I don't know what that means exactly. You mean like people shouldn't go on vacation there? Like, what do you mean by that specifically? M. Berg agrees. That makes sense, Ron. Have to agree. You can boast dissent against the law. Martin says, so Ron Placone Inc. is not a multi-billion-dollar entity? Not according to the IRS. Shh. Okay. It's punishing fans for the actions of non-fans, says Brian. I agree. Use the platform in a state that isn't hearing your position, says Edwin. Let's see. Solid reasoning, Ron, says Martin A. Gutter Dandy says, makes sense, Ron. Tony says, instead of boycotting, perform there and say something to open hearts and minds. Oh, if only I could. Let's see here. The NFL boycotted Arizona for lack of MLK Day support. Yeah, and again, that's a different... Yeah, Martin brings up, that's a for instance of they actually have power. The NFL, they can actually make a statement to a state where they're gonna, really... Jenna disagrees. Why do you disagree? Why do you disagree with that? So I should just boycott states and punish people who have nothing to do with the horrible laws their states are pushing through? All right, Sean. Sean, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Mike Gravel giving us solution. Democratize. We need to demand politicians bend the knee to us. Nominate, vote for cabinet positions on a mass level. Okay. I agree. I totally agree. Doug says, Ron Howard made the exactly right decision, in my opinion. I think so, too. I think so, too. So I'm curious if anyone... Because I understand the other side of it. I mean, I have some friends and colleagues who are, they're saying it's got to be a principle thing. We're not going to perform in those states. I just don't see it that way. I see where they're coming from. I respect their decision. They have the right to make that decision. But I don't look at it that way. And 42 Belvedere says, strategies like this only work if lots of big names and big events collectively do it. Let's see. The point is to create pressure from the outside for change. I agree. Let's see. Mr. Brokenos, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. Have you ever thought about putting out calls to action more regularly? The comedy tour could double as silent, localized conferences for activists. That's not my decision to make, really. I mean, when we do our shows and our tours, we have different groups tabling there. We have Veterans for Peace there. The DSA is there on a regular basis. MPP is there. We invite all those groups to our shows. We allow them to table. The people who are tabling do not pay a ticket price to go to the show. They get to go for free. And we encourage that to happen. Whether or not it happens, that's kind of out of our hands. We want that to happen. We want people to connect with other like-minded folks in their community. And that has happened. DSA has gotten new members at our shows. Different politicians or people running for office. Amy Valea, for instance, got more volunteers as the result of our shows. Veterans for Peace got some signups. You get the idea. So yeah, we certainly try to make that happen. We can't force it to happen, but we try our best. And we try to have more. I want to try to get more groups. I really want to try to get more groups on board. Come on, Comrade Ron, organize the revolution for us. I wish I could. If I could, I would. We are totally out of time. We will be back at 11:30. 11:30 Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be back with an interview with Krish Mohan, very funny comedian, tours with Lee Camp a lot, has a new special coming out. We're going to talk about that special. Tour dates coming up. You know I got them. And please show up and use it to organize with people in your community. That's what we want to see happen, so please do it. We're going to the East Coast. June 12th, we're going to be in Washington, D.C. When I say we, I mean Graham Elwood and myself with the Progressive Comedy Tour. June 12th, Washington, D.C. June 13th, Baltimore, Maryland. June 14th and 15th, Philadelphia, PA. 2 nights in Philadelphia. June 16th, New Haven, Connecticut. June 17th, New York City. June 19th, Boston, Massachusetts. Don't wait. Get your tickets now at ronplacone.com. And July 27th, Vegas, baby. We're coming back to Vegas. The Progressive Comedy Tour is hitting Vegas. It's our first, it's the first market we're going to be hitting twice. We played Vegas in May of last year. We're coming back to Vegas in July of this year. So please come on out. ronplacone.com for all those tickets. This week, May 23rd, Thursday, the first Ron Placone and Friends at Flappers Comedy Club. If you're in Los Angeles, drop me an email. I'll put you on the guest list for that show. Do it! If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. I have some new equipment news very soon, actually. I got a new camera. We're going to have some new stuff going on here, and it's because of the patrons that's possible. So if you have an extra $1 a month, please consider throwing it my way. If you don't, I totally understand. Oh, and that website is patreon.com/ronplacone. If you don't, I totally understand. Please like and share these videos. When you watch the videos, please do put it on autoplay in a separate window. Let the ads play through. And don't do that just for me. Do that for all the content creators you know and love. It helps sustain our channels. You guys are amazing. I will not be on tomorrow. There is no show tomorrow because I have to go to a funeral, which is very unfortunate. But I do have to go to a funeral tomorrow, so there will be no show. But we will be back on Wednesday, and we will be on at 11:30 Pacific time. So that's coming right up in about 40 minutes. So I will see you guys Wednesday, if not sooner. This has been Get Your News On with Ron. Consider the news gotten. That doesn't even make sense. You know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace.